By the time you're watching this, auditions for the main cast are over, but if you missed it, we'll likely have more auditions in the future for side characters. We also now have a public Discord! You can join the hype for the game, ask us questions directly, and so on! So today, I thought I'd give you guys a little treat, and we're talking about scrapped ideas. When making a game, you're gonna have ideas that you later look at and go, nah, no thank you. Or you realize a better idea down the line. So today, I'm sharing ideas for Ashes to Ashes that did make the cut. Ash's tragic backstory. While Ash has always canonically come from a neglectful home, that's what triggers her attachment issues, her original backstory was something dark. Ash was severely bullied in her childhood. The tutorial for the game mechanics were going to be Ash killing her childhood bullies back when she herself was also a child. I know what you're thinking. Charlie? That's a dumb idea. How did you ever even suggest that? What made me realize that this was a bad concept for Ash's character and for the tutorial was a present-day character in the game, Penny. Penny is a kid genius and vice president of the science club. She's sweet, she's bubbly, and she is easy to manipulate. For example, asking her to get you something from the vending machine and you can't get it yourself because you're so lightheaded, so that you can steal something from the science lab or something. However, Ash has her own skewed moral code. She's willing to manipulate and trick Penny, but she's never going to physically harm a child. And while I don't care if you treat this game as a stabbing simulator, like, all that matters is that you're having fun, and if that's how you have fun, then go crazy. I don't want to see a child physically harmed in my game. It occurred to me that I have this mentality of not wanting children harmed while also having child Ash killing her childhood bullies for the tutorial, and that's when it hit me. I'm fucking stupid. So we scrapped the idea, and we don't have a tutorial fully set in stone yet, but we'll come up with something. The entire reason that backstory was even made was to come up with a tutorial. Feel free to share your ideas. Me and the team are always willing to hear out your ideas. Side note, I have given thought to players that may want to do like a genocide challenge, like kill the whole campus in a day and things like that. For that kind of stuff, I thought of like maybe you can find a reason to trick Penny into leaving the campus, or we'll cross that bridge when we get to it. We can do like a genocide challenge mode where Penny's not at campus at all for some reason or something, you know? We'll figure it out. We'll figure it out. Next scrapped idea. Dante, the janitor. Yes, Ash's childhood friend Dante was gonna have a part-time job as a janitor. The idea was that Ash would have easy access to cleaning supplies and keys if her literal best friend was the janitor. It's easy to see why this got scrapped. That's not fun or challenging. As far as cleanup goes, my vision has always been that cleaning up at any time is not inherently suspicious. Unless Ash has a bad reputation, because then people would see it as a why do you care if the school's clean kind of thing. However, you still might not want to be seen cleaning regardless, because while it's not sus to be seen cleaning if you have a decent reputation, if you miss any evidence, people will inform the detective that you were cleaning on a day that a murder happened. As for stuff like keys, it'd probably be more fun if Ash needed a key for her to have to go like snooping for it as opposed to her best friend just handing it to her. Also, a janitor doesn't really suit Dante at all. I feel like that's a pretty strenuous job for somebody that has asthma, gets sick very easily, cannot handle physical labor. Dante hates athletics, and I feel like a custodian job would be taxing on him. I'm down for janitor characters, but Dante being one felt overall unnecessary. Next, scrapped concept! Info Zaya. So for this to make sense, you'll need to know that a part of Ashes to Ashes' existence is thanks to my disappointment in Yandere Simulator. And while Yandere is very much deserving of criticism, I don't want to turn my channel into a Yandere Simulator hate channel. So much of that game was done with the help of volunteers and people with actual passion behind the project, that slamming the project feels more like slamming them than Yandere, to be honest. Also, it's just low low-hanging fruit at this point. So the concept of InfoZaya came when me and the team were thinking of characters similar to InfoChan. In Yandere Simulator, InfoChan helps you gather info points by setting bugs or blackmailing other students. And while we had a similar idea for InfoZaya, the namesake basing him off of an old favorite character of mine, Izaya Orihara, a cruel informant that only is on the side of his own entertainment. The name InfoZaya started off as a joke that just kind of stuck. InfoZaya can give you intel on love interest or anyone pursuing them, information for your own gain, as well as items, but the fact you're paying for his help means that he has dirt on you and blackmail on Ash, that she's obsessed with her love interest and is obviously harming anyone who gets in her way, and destroying opportunities that would take her love interest away. Sweet little Ash being a crazed stalker would be quite the entertaining info to sell. If you don't want InfoZaya to rat you out, Ash is forced to do favors for him and do as he says. InfoZaya and Bernadette were actually going to be enemies, seeing as they both have a hobby of getting information, but for her, it's about justice and him being a shady criminal that uses it to fuel his entertainment. Bernadette would be disgusted with him as a person. There's also talks of, because Ash's father is a criminal that works for a shady loan shark, we can have a video on Ash's family in the future if that's something that'd be interesting to you. That if we had an event where Ash's parents come to visit her on campus, if Ash's dad saw InfoZaya, he would recognize him and chase him down because they got beef. InfoZaya was an interesting concept with fun gags, but felt as similar to InfoChan, and despite Ash's dashes partly stemming from my disappointment in Yandere, I don't want Ash's dashes to be just some Yandere Simulator clone. So overall, InfoZaya was unnecessary, and I mean, when I play Yandere Simulator, I almost never use InfoChan, so what good would an InfoChan be in my game? Besides, wouldn't it be more fun to gather intel on your own and stuff instead of just paying someone else to give it to you? How are you gonna play as a stalker and not stalk? Next, scrapped idea! The teacher love interest. When coming up with love interest, we wanted to have one DILF love interest and one MILF love interest. From our last video, you would know those two characters are Wolfgang and Rue. However, before Rue, we had Ria, a girl failure college professor that's lazy, tired, and always late to her classes. She hates her job and she feels stuck in it. And I, personally, could not connect with Ria. And if her own creator can't connect with her, how am I supposed to expect anyone else to? I just couldn't think of anything to write about her aside from those details I mentioned here. She was just not working, and the more I thought about it, yeah, you see the trope in media all the time where the college professor dates the college student, but the punchline to that trope is always, this is not appropriate. Now, I think we all can differentiate fiction and reality, and the teacher-ex-student fantasy is a common one, but I didn't want to come off like I was pushing some sort of power play fetish in my murder game. I mean, sure, no one's expecting a Yandere game to have the most sound morals, but you signed up for a Yandere game, not a teacher-ex-student fantasy. Plus, while Ash is in her mid to late 20s, I was worried that a teacher thing could still be seen as like an abuse of power. If I can not only not get you to connect or sympathize with a character and it just appears like she's taking advantage of, as far as she knows, a perfectly innocent student, then I don't have a compelling love interest. I just have a bland excuse of a power play fetish that's not what anyone signed up for. So Ria got replaced with Nurse Rue, and I had an easier time writing for Rue and giving her a personality and a backstory, and that's a better start than Ria had. Ash isn't typically in need to visit the infirmary like the characters with more frail health, so the power balance there feels a little better, from what I can tell at least. At the very least, Rue being a nurse holds no power over any student's grades or futures in the same way a teacher's does. Like, the fuck Nurse Rue gonna do? Like, oh, you give me a kiss, I'm gonna give you a free Band-Aid, honey. Lastly, this was more or less a suggestion that didn't get greenlit than a scrapped idea. I always knew from the start that I wanted an interrogation minigame if a murder is found on campus. But how did we want to go about that? A standard interrogation game with multiple choice answers on what to and what not to be truthful on? But as the interrogation goes on, the time limit to pick answers are shorter. Or did we want a classic fight game where Ash can unlock special moves by upgrading her deception, reputation, and cleaning skills? Obviously, in universe, Ash and the detective are not fighting. It's just for the sake of being a silly minigame. But overall, we felt the fighting minigame would be a little jarring and not really match the game's theme. The first option, where you're actually being interrogated, the team felt we could do more with, and they all had ideas they could build upon with that. So the fighting game got scrapped. Anyway, that's all the scrapped ideas I can think of right now. I'm sure this can be a fun series on this channel, though, in the future. I'm sure we'll have a lot more scrapped ideas as we go on. As mentioned before, we have a Discord if you're interested in seeing the game's progress or asking us questions. If you're interested in being a volunteer for this game, please do let us know. Thank you for being a part of the Ashes to Ashes journey. Like and subscribe!